All right, everybody, how's it going? Just getting the live up on here. Hold on, going on Instagram Live now, too. Just getting my screen set up. Cody Bellinger is back with the Yankees. So, hold on 1 second here. Got my screen up. All right, start. All right. How's it going, everybody? So, Cody Bellinger is back with the New York Yankees. 5 years, $162.5 million was the agreed upon terms. Opt outs after the second and third years of the contract. Full no trade clause. The AAV sits at $32.5 million a year, plus a $20 million signing bonus. So Bellinger will make $85 million in the first 2 years. 2 years total, obviously, before he has that first opt out. And then he can decide after the second year whether he wants to opt out of the remaining 3 years, 77 million. Then he has another opt out the following year. If he doesn't opt out, then his AAV will drop to 25.8 million in 2028, and then 2029, and then it will go up 100,000 to 25.9 million in 2030. So that's how that works essentially. What's going on, everybody? What's going on, Gio? What does this mean for Spencer Jones? You think he gets moved? I think there's a chance one of Spencer Jones and Jason Dominguez could get moved. So yes, to answer your question, I think that's a very real chance. If you're going to ask me, though, my opinion, I would say I'd rather keep Jones in the sense of I like both players. I like Jones a little bit more in terms of the boom or bust profile. Also, the fact he's a great defender in the outfield. He can play center field. And you have to think about Trent Grisham long term, past 2026. Outfield, center field is a bit unknown. I mean, you could shift Bellinger to center field, I guess, but he more profiles as a left fielder. Same thing with Jason Dominguez, except Jason Dominguez can't catch a fly ball, and he's had problems defensively. So I think Jason Dominguez is more the trade ship here, but I could be wrong. Hey, what's going on, Dom? My day's good, man. How about you? My day's good when the Yankees finally do something. I know it's re-signing Cody Bellinger and it's putting out the same lineup as last year. I get it, but it's something. I mean, if we lost Cody Bellinger, this team would be worse than 2025. So take it for something. And I think the Yankees from here can finally move on with their offseason, try and get some pitching, starting pitching, bullpen. That's what Joel Sherman said today for the New York Post. The Yankees will still be in the market for starting pitching. That includes Freddie Peralta, who they're having ongoing discussions, Mackenzie Gore. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about the starting pitching end, who they could go out and target, aside from just a Peralta or a Mackenzie Gore. And then they'll also be in the market for right-handed hitting catcher, and then as like a backup, and then bullpen help. So the Yankees have more to do. It's a good signing. I agree. I think, I mean, look, in today's market, every player gets overpaid. I'm happy with the Yankees that the fact that they did not budge off the 5 years. 5 years is like a hard stop where I was at, where the Yankees were at, and they didn't cave into Boris on that. Boris could not find a market where he could beat the Yankees offer for 5 years, 160 plus million. He could not find it. So then it goes back to the Yankees' favor. Boom, Yankees get a deal. They upped the offer in terms of money by $2.5 million. Okay, done deal. What I thought was really funny too is Scott Boras did this signing when he was at Ranger Suarez's press conference in Boston. Ranger Suarez was getting introduced by the Red Sox at Fenway, and this deal gets signed apparently. So that's pretty funny. But yeah, I think this is a good deal in terms of the Yankees not budging from their original stance. Is it an overpay? Yeah, but every contract's an overpay. Yankees needed Cody Bellinger. I think Cody Bellinger obviously did have an interest in coming back, and then it's the two sides getting together and working out a deal. So, sorry, I missed some of these comments. perfect scenario, I'd rather move Dominguez over Jones, but I feel like we don't get Peralta without moving Jones. Um, that you could be right on that, Gio. Absolutely. I mean, they could like Jones more than Dominguez. In that sense, I would look. It's tough, but I mean, prospects are prospects, and sometimes you got to part with guys you don't want to necessarily part with. So I would say, in that sense, the Yankees would have to pull that deal and do that. And I know that's a lot for a 1 year rental, but they need pitching. And I don't really know how they're necessarily going to get by the first couple months without Rodon and Cole. And if you can add a guy, high upside guy, top of the rotation kind of guy in Freddie Peralta, and that's what you have to give up, I think you have to definitely do that. And you don't know how these prospects are going to pan out. So at the end of the day, the Yankees are in win now mode with Aaron Judge, and that's what I think you have to do. Do you think Volpe will bounce back? I have no idea at this point. I mean, you guys know if you've been following me long enough, I've had a lot of faith in Volpe. I've been patient with him, and we're going into what his fourth year now, and he's coming off shoulder surgery. I just don't know at this rate. I feel like the Yankees have been plenty patient with him, giving him every opportunity in the world, and I think any opportunity he gets moving forward, he has to earn it. I think Caballero is by default the opening day shortstop. And then you just kind of figure it out from there. You see how Caballero does, and at least you have someone that can defend. It's a relief for now. I agree. I agree. I think, getting this deal done, I'm just glad it's finally done. We several weeks from pitchers and catchers reporting, and the Yankees want to get this wrap up, move on with the offseason, trying to address the pitching. Like I said, Joe Sherman mentioned their need for a right-handed backup catcher. Also, too, like the lineup is super lefty dominated. You have Bellinger, you have Grisham, you have McMahon. I mean, outside of Judge, is really not a lot of right-handed hitting options there. So, could the Yankees potentially add a right-handed bat? I don't know. People were mentioning Harrison Bader and Austin Hayes, but that was basically the backup plan to Bellinger left. And now the payroll sits at about 318, I believe. So I really don't think they're going to spend the money to go out and get a Bader or Hayes when that was the original backup plan to Cody Bellinger if he walked. So yeah, I'm so hyped. Yeah, me too, man. Like, look, I'm happy Bellinger's back. I'm happy. I'm not going to sit here and just be like, oh, well, that's what they should have done. Like guys, this could have been very different. Cody Bellinger could have left, and at that point, I kind of came to acceptance. Like, okay, whatever happens, happens. Like if he leaves, okay, I'm not going to be thrilled about it, but I'll get it to understanding. But then if he stays and they work it out with the Yankees not budging, then I'm fine with that too. So honestly, I'm fine. I'm fine with the terms. I'm fine with this. Like the Yankees obviously need him. Obviously, Bellinger wanted to come back. And they worked out the contract. They worked out the years. Boris wanted 7. He couldn't get 7. The Yankees were adamant on 5. They were at 160, and then they bump it up to 162 and a half. So I'm fine with that. I'm totally cool with that. And yeah, I like the opt outs too. I've been taking notes. I like the opt outs for a couple of reasons. It gives Bellinger incentive to perform. He's 30 years old. He will be 31 this summer, sometime around July. So he can re enter the market after his age 32 season, which I like in the sense of if he goes out there, puts up similar seasons to 2025, he can test the market again, try and get more money from what at that point he'll have 3 years, $77 million left on his current deal. If not, then he can, have another opt out after the third season and possibly test the market after that. And then obviously you're looking at the AAV. I'm honestly fine giving him 32 AAV. And then that goes down a little bit in the later years, drops to 25.8 in 2028 and 2029, and then it goes up to 25.9 in 2030. So I like the contract structure. I like how there's opt outs in it. I think that's good for both sides. And obviously, the Yankees were the most serious player for Cody Bellinger. We had 2 other supposedly interested teams, but again, like I've said, there's varying levels of interest. So, is that just the team calling saying we're interested? Hold on one second. Is that just the team calling saying we're interested? But are they making a formal offer? We don't know. Um, So Bellinger fits his team in terms of the lineup, the defense. I can play left, center, right, fill in at first base if needed. And I remember someone made a good point. I think it was Joe Sherman. he was mentioning like if Ben Rice struggles at first base and you need an emergency backup first baseman, Cody Bellinger can do that. He hasn't played a ton of first base. I think he played like 5 games at first base last year, but that's something he can do if needed, fill in. And then as for Spencer Jones and Jason Dominguez, I kind of already briefly talked about this already, but both of them will become trade bait. And obviously, the assumption is that that could be in the sense of using one of them for a starting pitcher, if not starting pitching and bullpen help. You got Freddie Brault out there, Mackenzie Gore. I also thought it was interesting. The Reds are listening on their starting pitchers, and it wouldn't be a flashy move like getting a Freddie Peralta or Mackenzie Gore, but they got some pitchers I really like. Obviously, the top being Hunter Green. That guy's an absolute stud, years control. He would cost a freaking fortune. I don't see that as being likely. But you have other names: Brady Singer, Nick Lodolo. Those are two arms I like. Brady Singer, I was looking on Spot Track. He has 1 year left in his contract. Arbitration, he's making $12.7 million, so a little bit more costly than Freddie Peralta. I believe is making $7-8 million, and he's obviously not as good. But I'm really looking at in terms of, if not a high upside trade for a starting pitcher, then like a middleman rotation arm that can eat some innings. And help the Yankees out in that way until Rodon and Cole get back. And the reason why, I mean, Ryan Weathers, guy hasn't pitched more than 100 innings in his career. I mean, he hasn't reached the 100 inning threshold, and he gets hurt a lot. So I don't think you can necessarily throw him in the rotation and rely on him to cover those innings. So I like looking at these red pitchers. Another guy I really like is Nick Lodolo. I was looking a little bit at his baseball savant page. He can really spin the ball, left-handed pitcher. I know we have a lot of left-handed pitchers on this team. I understand that, but he's 27 years old, has some control, big guy, 6'6", can get some swing and miss, really limits the walks to 4.8% walk rate, which is really nice. And then you look at curveball, four-seamer, sinker, change it up. So Matt Boyd can really get a lot of out of him for that. He's a name that, keeps popping up in my feeds, Yankees Twitter and stuff, and a name that I really like the more I look into him. So I feel like any of these guys would be a good addition. I think that's where the Yankees kind of have to strategize because, again, a lot of teams are talking to the Brewers about Freddie Peralta. We've heard the Dodgers, we've heard the Mets, the Giants, like a lot of teams. And like being completely non-biased, like the Yankees don't have the best farm system out of all those teams. So like obviously the Dodgers have like the top farm system in baseball. The Mets have a really good farm system. So I mean I think the Brewers preference, obviously, like Joel Sherman said, would be trade him out of the NL. So so the Brewers don't have to see him. But in the same token, like they also want the best deal possible. He's got 1 year left in his contract. Brewers want to cash in now, get what they can, and then hopefully still compete, sort of similar to like a Corbin Burns situation. So my plan, obviously, plan A would be to keep Spencer Jones. You have him as like the future center fielder, past Grisham, with the qualifying offer this year. And who knows? Someone can get hurt. He could fill in. I don't see. I mean, theoretically, you could keep Dominguez and Jones. I mean, I guess Jones would be in the minors to start the year, and then Dominguez would be the fourth outfielder. But like, I mean, where's Dominguez getting at bats? The question. I mean, if Stanton gets hurt, which I think is kind of inevitable at this point, I love the guy, but he can't stay healthy. Then DH at bats open up. So I guess sort of like a wait and see mode with that, where I guess you could keep them. It is a little bit unfortunate from the standpoint that like I understand people that want to see Dominguez get like a full shot. But like in the same token, his outfield defense, I think it's gotten better, but it hasn't gotten better enough to where he can start every day, if that sort of makes sense. And it's sort of tough how to fit him into the lineup if he's not starting in the outfield. Obviously, if Stanton gets hurt, then you have DH at bats open up. But again, that's another question that sort of leaves things to be desired, essentially. But I think obviously now the plan is pitching, starting pitching, bullpen. I was looking a bit on Spot Track, like the free agents that are left. I was looking at catcher, and there's really nobody Mitch Garver, Christian Vasquez, Jonah Heim. Jonah Heim is non-tender. That wouldn't be a bad backup option. I think he's a switch hitter. Um, Gary Sanchez. Could you imagine how funny that would be if the Yankees brought back Gary Sanchez? Not saying that'll happen, but that would be kind of funny. Sorry, let me read some of these questions. Um, the starting lineup, like our pitching starting lineup, is solid. Bullpen is the problem, but if Cole and Rodon is out, we need some starters. Yeah, that's the thing. Cole and Rodon are out. You also don't know if Cole and Rodon, like, they're going to come back and they're going to be good. Like, it might be a ramp up period, especially with Cole. He's going to be like, what, 35 coming back from Tommy John. I really don't know what to expect from that. And then Rodon, I think, was dealing with something like forearm related, nerve related, something like that. You don't know if he's going to be 100% when he gets back. So that's a lot of innings to cover. I mean, Rodon. Let's look at Rodon. How many innings did each last year? But you have to factor in the Yankees missed Cole all of last year. They had to make up for those innings. And then you have to factor in Rodon. Rodon pitched almost 200 innings last year. And if you have to make up the first couple months, him and Cole, I mean, we're talking what, like 50, 60 innings? Like that's a lot. So I need someone that can, I mean, first of all, just eat innings. I mean, even if it's like a middle of the rotation dude, just come in here, make 5, 6 starts, pitch 5, 6 innings. Um, I mean, ideally, yeah, you'd want the Freddie Peralta, the Mackenzie Gore, the upside. But again, I don't know if the Yankees have the package in terms of, like, yes, that's what they'll take. I mean, the Yankees, we know the Yankees. I've talked about this in previous uh, live streams. The Yankees have a lot of pitching prospects that the Brewers could entertain. You have Omar Cruz Rodriguez, their top pitching prospect. Or no, it's actually Carlos Lagrange, then Elmer Cruz Rodriguez. Um, we've talked about Luis Gil, even though it's like injury troubles, but there's some upside there. He's still relatively young. Um, and then we talked about like newly pitchers, Bryce Cunningham, Ben Hess. Who else? Yeah, so the Yankees don't have a problem in terms. Also, like Will Warren. I mean, like I could easily see the Yankees sending Will Warren to the Brewers in a trade package, especially if they think like, okay, maybe like Ryan Weathers could take Will Warren's spot. But that's where it gets a little dicey because Ryan Weathers, I love the upside pitcher profile. Can he stay healthy? Like that's the biggest question mark with him because I think if he can stay healthy, then I think it's going to be a good get for the Yankees. I also liked how Joel Sherman mentioned how the Ryan Weathers trade reminds him of Nathan Eovaldi, which, funny enough, I made a post about a couple days ago just because of like the 2016 nostalgia stuff. And I made a post. Eovaldi, it was 2015. I thought it was from 2016, but it was actually 2015. I was at this game. They're playing the Astros. This was right before the cheating scandal, of course, or a few years before. And Eovaldi just shut him out. Eovaldi was just throwing gas, wicked off-speed stuff. And I was really high on Eovaldi when the Yankees got him. The problem is he was sort of like still figuring himself out. Like when the Yankees got him, he came from the Dodgers and I think one other team, and like he was like a high 4 ERA guy, not great command, but like great pure filthy stuff. Sort of like what Ryan Weathers has right now. He was young. He was like 25 at the time, 25, 26. And then they really kind of fixed him. So, or not fixed him, but like got something out of him. And then Eovaldi got hurt, needed Tommy John, and the Yankees cut him because he was about to be a free agent then. And then he went to Boston and found himself and won a World Series, and then won a World Series again with the Rangers, which sucks for us. But yeah, I mean that's a good comp, I feel like, for the Yankees. And let me get some more questions though. Kanan says, compared to Bo and Tuck, I think this signing was great. I agree with you. I was thinking that as myself. Obviously, like I've been very clear about this. Like at times throughout the offseason, I was more willing to pay Bo. I really like Bo Bichette. And I still kind of had that sentiment. And I still do to this point. Like if I could go back, I'll take Bo over Bellinger, but like I don't hate Bellinger. I don't say that. I'm glad we got Bellinger back. Um, but yeah, when you look at the contracts, like I do feel like this isn't a horrible deal for the Yankees. Did they overpay? Yes, they did, but every team does. The thing with Bo Bichette that's a problem is like Bo Bichette, amazing hitter. Love that about him. The only issue is like the Mets have to teach him third base. And then first base is kind of a tricky spot for them with Polanco. He's also never played there. So like the corner infield, they really have to figure out. They also still have to figure out left field. That's why Bellinger would have been a good fit for them. But with the trade, with the Luis Robert trade, sort of basically took them out of going for Cody Bellinger. So, but yeah, I mean, I think at the end of the day, when I look at what all these other guys are getting paid and then what Bellinger got paid, I don't feel horrible about it. I don't. I really don't. Is it an overpay? Absolutely. But every single guy in baseball nowadays gets overpaid. I had a conversation with somebody, um, and I was just like, there's the days of giving someone a contract and being like, that's a bargain contract are over. Like that's a steal. That's this. It's over. The last contract I can think of that the Yankees handed out that was a bargain good contract was the first DJ LeMahieu signing, which I'm actually curious enough going to look up. Uh, that was when DJ came from the Rockies. Kind of had a down year, but was still a good contact hitter. Um, that was the last good bargain contract because DJ LeMahieu was a batting champ those first 2 years for the Yankees. Originally signed a 2-year, $24 million contract. The Yankees 2019 offseason. So that's $12 million a year. And DJ LeMahieu hit like well over 300 in those 2 years. He was a batting champion. And then they gave him the 6-year, $90 million. That was terrible because he aged horribly. But yeah, I mean that's the last deal in baseball that's like a bargain deal, good contract signing. Nowadays everybody gets paid way over market value because you got teams like the Dodgers and Mets that literally don't care how much a guy costs, just get him. And then just the fact like society, inflation, all this stuff, guys are asking for more money. So kind of those two go hand in hand. Compared to Bo, oh no, I'm sorry, I already read that comment. I really hope Volpe will get over his injury and show who he is. He's a talented guy. Yeah, I look, I'm rooting for Volpe, but at this point, I'm just like, he's got to come in and prove himself. I think Caballero is the starting shortstop by default. Caballero came in after the trade, did his job. And at the end of the day, you need a guy at the bare minimum at shortstop that can make the plays if he's not going to hit. And Caballero's shown he can do that. So until proven otherwise, Volpe's got a lot of work to do. I know he's recovering from a shoulder surgery, and I don't ever wish failure on him ever. I think he's a good kid. He works hard, but at the end of the day, it's the big leagues. You got to produce, and if you don't produce, someone else is going to take your job. It's just the hard reality to it, and that's life. If we are healthy, the starting pitching is honestly top notch. 100%, I agree. Starting pitching is the best in baseball if they're healthy. Question is, can they get healthy? I mean, if you look at it, I mean, could you imagine if they pulled off like a Freddie Peralta deal? You have Cole, if healthy, Cole, Fried, Rodon, Freddie Peralta, Cam Schlittler, Luis Heel, Will Warren. Like, that's just insane. That's an insane rotation. Maybe you add Ryan Weathers to the mix. That's top of the line stuff right there. Jackson says, would you rather have Wells or Rice doing most of the catching this year? Great question, man. I'm going to say Austin Wells in the sense of because Ben Rice is going to be the full-time first baseman. Goldschmidt's not coming back. So Rice is the full, first base guy. I think the Yankees get a backup, but that's not as good as Wells. Wells is kind of like tricky to summarize offensively. I know he hasn't really reached his ceiling in that regard, but he's still a great defender. So it's fine with me. It's whatever. I think he'll start. And then the Yankees will bring in a backup catcher that's right-handed. It doesn't make sense to have him and a Scar. It doesn't make sense to have two left-handed catchers on your team. I mean, last year the Yankees had three, essentially, because you had Ben Rice that caught a little bit. Then you had JC and Wells. That made no sense. JC Scar, good dude, works hard. But I think odds are he's likely getting traded. because it just doesn't make logical sense to have that many catchers on your roster that are all left-handed hitters. So we got the best outfield in baseball back. We improve pitching. We make it back to the CS. Um, I'll put a pause on saying best outfield in baseball, but I essentially, yeah, like it's up there. I have to see what Grisham can do. Like Grisham, I like Trent Grisham. I don't know if this was just a fluke year or if he finally figured something out. So I have to put like a pause on that. Um, if Trent Grisham can closely duplicate what he did last year, then word up, like cool, like we're rolling, man. Um, but if not, then I mean we'll see what happens. You got Jones, you got Dominguez. Things could get interesting if none of those guys get dealt. And then Bellinger, I think hopefully Bellinger, will have another strong year. The thing that scares me about Bellinger, to be completely honest with you guys, is like he's had a lot of up and down years. Now, it's assuring that his first year in New York was awesome. 5 WAR player, close to 30 home runs, 86 RBIs, played great defense. But you look at his baseball reference, and I talked about this during his free agency. It does worry me in just terms of, he's had some negative WAR seasons with Dodgers. The Cubs salary dumped him. He got hurt, kind of fell off a little bit. So I there are concerns with the contract. There are concerns just with the player, and there are legitimate concerns on top of like the positives I've covered. So, but at the end of the day, like looking at this team in terms of what they were with Cody Bellinger last year, and then what they would be without him, then they wouldn't be as good of a team. That's for sure. So you hope Bellinger can at the very least be like a 3.5, 4 WAR player next year. If he's not going to be like the exact same, there's going to be a bit of a drop off. But at the end of the day, he's still valuable, even if he's like a 3.5 or 4 WAR player, just based on like the defense versatility, the power bat in the lineup, and helped by Yankee Stadium, rightfully so. And I also think that's interesting, like looking at his home and road splits. I mean, obviously there are probably teams that were a little bit concerned by that, but in the Yankee sense, like it helps them playing all your home games at Yankee Stadium, and you have that short porch, you have right center to work with. So in Bellinger's case, it helps. Hold on one second. Hi, how's it going? Oh, sorry. Can I have like an hour? Okay, awesome. Thank you. Oh no, we're here till Thursday or like Friday. Yep. Thank you. Sorry about that. So yeah, what was I saying? So Bellinger essentially, you hope he could be like around like a 4 WAR player next year. I'll take a 5 WAR if he could duplicate next year. Awesome. But regardless, this team with Cody Bellinger versus without Cody Bellinger, they're a better team with Cody Bellinger versus without. And then you look at the alternatives, and I've talked about this briefly as well today. Austin Hayes, Harrison Bader, I didn't want either of them as a replacement for Cody Bellinger for a variety of reasons. And I still stand on that. I felt like if the Yankees lost Cody Bellinger, they would have to get creative with a trade. And I looked countlessly on Fangraphs, Savant, like, okay, who could that realistically be? And other than like Stephen Kwan, who I don't even know if the Guardians will trade at this point, and then like a Lars Newbar or a Robert who then got traded to the Mets, like there was nobody. There was nobody. And I didn't even like Luis Robert. I wasn't a huge fan of Lars Newbar. Also being another lefty bat, like that wouldn't make sense. And then Stephen Kwan was great, but like, what's he going to cost? The Guardians even willing to move him? I mean, we've heard that trade speculation, but like at the end of the day, he was obviously would cost a lot in terms of prospect capital. So Cody Bellinger made the most sense for the Yankees. I'm happy they got a deal done. I'm happy the Yankees did not budge and offer a 6th or a 7th year, even though that's what Boris was ultimately holding out for. Boris was hoping the Yankees would panic and up the years on their offer, and the AAV in association with that. They did not. They just slightly bumped the AAV and the total dollar amount, which is fine. $2.5 million. Who cares? When the original offer was 160, that got it done. Cool. So yeah, trying to see if there's any more questions here. Bellinger will do great in left field because we got Grisham in center, Judge and right. I would get rid of Dominguez. Yeah, I really do think, and it's some people are going to be really upset with me because I know there's like a very divided aisle in Yankee Twitter, Yankee fandom. Like some people are really like a big believer in Jason Dominguez. Other people, it's more Spencer Jones. And like when you have this conversation, like, okay, who are you trading? I don't think you trade both of them because you do need like one of them in case someone gets hurt or I don't know, gosh forbid something happens. But you know, but it's like, okay, which one do you trade? And when I see Jason Dominguez, it's not in the sense of, oh, I hate Dominguez. I don't hate Jason Dominguez. I think he's a great player. I realistically think the Yankees could get more for Jason Dominguez in terms of his raw ability, and he's younger. And the reason I'm higher on Spencer Jones is because he's a great defender, big guy, big boomer bust potential in terms of power. He's cutting down on the strikeouts. I'm willing to take that risk on Spencer Jones as the center fielder beyond 2026 when Grisham probably won't be back after that, and take the gamble there because he can field, and there is a bat in there that could hit, 30 plus homers, maybe 40, 50. And then if he figures out the swing and miss, then you could have a potential superstar in New York versus Dominguez. Dominguez is a nice player, but I don't really know. I don't know what Dominguez's ceiling is, to be completely honest with you. He runs well. He can hit a bit. And we've seen that potential with the bat. He's a switch hitter, but he struggles to hit against lefties when he's batting right-handed. Defense, he struggles out there. He's gotten better, but it hasn't shown enough strides yet to be like an everyday left fielder. They're not going to put him in center if he can't play left. He's a good base runner. Questions there. Like it's not, I don't know. It's just not like a seamless fit versus Jones. It's like, all right, he keeps cutting on the strikeouts and we know what he is with the power bat. We know he can field. Like, all right, once he cuts down on those strikeouts a little more, like we can call him up on X date, put him in center field, and he's going to be fine in that retrospect. Whereas Dominguez, like I quite honestly don't know. I quite honestly don't know. And there's positives and negatives with both. Look, at the end of the day, we have no idea. I mean, the Yankees I could be totally wrong on this, and you trade the wrong guy. Problem is, we don't know. We can't forecast the future. We can't forecast 2-3 years from now. But there's a case to be made for either guy, for keeping either guy and then trading the other. I believe Jones is like 24. So he's like the same age Judge was when Judge debuted, but now Jones will be older because he didn't debut in 2025, which I felt like he should have gotten a shot, but he wasn't on the 40-man roster, and you had Bellinger, you had Grisham, which like I get, I understand it, but there was a while he was in AAA, he was just raking, and he was knocking on the door, and he didn't get the call. I mean, I guess there just wasn't room, which is fine, but I would not be opposed to see Spencer Jones get a shot up here. So, see what other questions. With all the free agents out there, we get this guy back. What the F? Well, hold on. I got to ask you, Ernie, like, who are they getting at this point that's better than Bellinger? Bellinger is the best free agent left at this point. Now, if Kyle Tucker or Bo Bichette were still out there, I would say, okay, you have an argument there. But who are they going to get? Austin Hayes, Harrison Bader? That's a downgrade from Cody Bellinger. So I can understand why people aren't jumping down on the Cody Bellinger signing because, okay, you're basically running it back to the same lineup. I totally get that. But again, this free agent class was not very good, and the targets that were better, the guys that were better than Bellinger were already off the board. So I don't know. I don't know what signing the Yankees make for a free agent, a bat essentially that's better than Cody Bellinger at this point because Tucker and Bo are off the board. Um, and I mean, who else? Who else besides Tucker and Bo? Oh yeah, well Schwarber. Schwarber was long gone. Back to the Phillies. Alonso back to the Orioles. So like again, Cody Bellinger was the best bat available now. Now the market's Austin Hayes, I believe, is the best bat now, and Harrison Bader. It stinks. So this is the best they could do. This is the best they could do. Now, if you want to make the argument that they should have signed Bo Bichette over Cody Bellinger, then I can agree with you there. I can stand with you on that. I was all over Bo Bichette. I think that's a good signing by the Mets. I know they paid a ton of money for him. Steve Cohen does not care about money, and he has to learn third base. Those are things separate from its own. But in terms of the hitter, right-handed bat, top of the order kind of guy, I think that's a good move. And I would have loved him on the Yanks, but they didn't want to pay him that money. So it is what it is. We have like the most starting pitching depth I've seen in my life, to be fair, also. Yeah, but it's kind of like a double-edged sword because they have all the starting pitching depth, but half the time it's not healthy. Luis Heel, injury history. Garrett Cole now, injury history. Carlos Rodon, injury history. So it's like, if in a perfect world all these guys are healthy, absolutely. This is the strongest starting pitching depth I've seen with this Yankee team in probably my life, outside of 09, right? But they haven't been fully healthy. So again, like, can they get fully healthy this year? Like, I think that's going to be the biggest question, how far this Yankee team goes. Like, can the rotation get healthy? Can they stay healthy? And that's going to dictate, like, how far they go. And again, like, it's also a thing to note. I said this on the last live stream. Cam Schlittler, Will Warren, Max Fried all pitched career high in innings as well. So, like, now you have to heavily rely on those guys again in year two. And is that going to have an effect? Like, what if one of those guys get hurt? So these are all variables you have to take into consideration, especially when it comes to starting rotation, because again, like, that's going to dictate. I've said this over and over. That's going to dictate how far the Yankee team goes. Offense is great. You need pitching to win championships. Bullpen too. The team needs bullpen help. They need starting pitching. They need bullpen. If you get into spring training and another guy gets hurt, say God forbid Max Fried gets hurt, you're screwed. Not screwed, but like, you're in deep trouble at that point. Like, I think, okay, maybe you could suffice, but got to go out there and get another arm. And I don't know if Ryan Weathers can stay healthy enough to be that guy that comes in the rotation. And preferably, I like him better in the bullpen, essentially. But I don't even know if he has the innings in him to be that kind of guy until Cole and Rodon get back. I do think we're starting the season with Jones and Dominguez competing for that fourth spot. Bearing an outfield injury. I also don't forget we got a super utility guy back in Oswaldo. Yeah, Oswaldo Cabrera comes back this year. Oswaldo's a good guy, man. He'll play anywhere. Good bench piece to have. He's a good morale guy. So it'll be good to have him back. And yeah, I agree, Joseph. I think there is a legitimate chance that Spencer Jones and Jason Dominguez can be competing for the fourth outfield spot. But like, in that sense, I feel like they would just give it to Dominguez because Jones is like still developing. Jones is still trying to, and I know they're both developing, but Jones is more developing on the standpoint of trying to cut down on the strikeouts. So I feel like they'd rather at that point just put him in AAA, let him figure out the strikeouts, and then Dominguez will be the fourth outfielder, maybe get some DH at bats. So yeah, but how is cheap? We ain't getting nobody else. Look, man, let's see what happens the rest of the offseason. I understand why people are frustrated with Hal. I get it. I'm like that too. But I feel like Bellinger really held up the whole Yankees offseason. And Boris being Boris, like, he drags these things out. He's trying to get the best deal he can get. People are getting antsy. People are getting frustrated. And, you know, the Yankees are always discussing trades. But, like, at the end of the day, if you have $160 million on the table for one player, and how it does operate on a budget, like, let's all be real here. They're probably not going to really make much of a significant move before that deal gets done, if that makes sense. Now that that deal's done, we know where the payroll is. We can go out and try and get savvy with trades. and like depth pieces and stuff. Like the Yankees know they need pitching. The Yankees they know they need starting pitching. They know they need bullpen help. The key thing is like, how's that most likely going to happen? It's most likely going to happen in trades. And then the question you got to ask yourself is, are they going to give up what they have to give up to get those deals done in terms of prospect capital? I don't think money is a factor in a trade. I don't think that's what's holding up a trade for them. I don't think they want to spend any more free agent dollars in the pitching market because of the budget thing. But like at the end of the day, like Brady Singer making $12 million and Freddie Peralta making $7 million, like it's not. I don't think it's about money when it comes to trades. I think it's about prospect capital and who they want to give up. Yankees are very like critical and like, oh yeah, we don't want to give up this guy. Like they were like that with Volpe. They were like that with Dominguez, for quite some time, and other prospects throughout the years. So it's like, again, are they going to budge on those asking prices? Because again, like if you're going to make these deals, you have to give up some prospect capital. They not, so we got the same team we had last year. Yeah, basically. It's basically the same team. And look, has this been like a good offseason? No. I'm not going to kid ourselves here and sit here and say after the Bellinger signing, this is a good offseason. It was Ryan Weathers and Cody Bellinger. And then a bunch of minor league signings for 95% of those guys are not going to touch the major league roster at all. Would you hope happen? But at the end of the day, like, okay, either running it back or we take Cody Bellinger out of the mix and we have a worse team in 2026. And I've talked about this. Like, I want to give Dominguez a chance. I want to give Spencer Jones a chance. I'm excited about those guys. But like at the end of the day, it's not like a sure thing though. Like at the present moment, if you take Cody Bellinger off the Yankees, they're a worse team. So at the end of the day, like I'm not thrilled about running it back. Don't get me wrong here. But would I rather run it back or run out a worse team? I'd rather run it back. Not saying that's going to get the job done. I think there's pitching moves they have to go out there and address to make the team better instead of essentially just bringing back the same team. But in the same token, I know it's been that kind of offseason, but still, I'd rather run back the same team than run back a worse team. Let's see what happens. Maybe these guys finally gel in a second year together. Grisham, Bellinger, Judge, and they step up in the postseason. Look, and everybody talks about like postseason track record. And I'm not going to come on here and say the playoffs are a crapshoot because they absolutely are not. Like the Dodgers going back to back proves that. But what I will say is like, it's very mental. There's things going on. Like Aaron Judge is such a special player, such a special talent. And it took him all these years to like finally click in the playoffs. Whether that's just pressure or just, trying to do too much in the moment. I don't know. And then like Trent Grisham, you could say like, oh, Trent Grisham had such a great year, then didn't do a squat in the playoffs. I don't know. Maybe he finally figures it out next year. Like there is a little bit of randomness to the sport. Like in terms of Miguel Rojas saving the Dodgers season, I think that's the last person anybody expected on the LA Dodgers in their starting lineup to save them when they were 2 outs away from losing the World Series and the Blue Jays winning it all. Like, so again, like there is a bit of randomness to the sport. Guys can come back. They could have better playoff track records. Prime example, look at Giancarlo Stanton. Pretty much his whole Yankee tenure stepped up in the playoffs. We don't make the World Series without that dude in 2024. 2025, he didn't do anything. Giancarlo did not have a good playoff series in 2025. Wild card, didn't do anything. Same thing in the LDS. So again, like this sort of thing happens. Like when you look at 162 games, right? And you see 162 games, ebbs and flows, right? You have guys that slump, you have guys that, hit hot streaks, then cold streaks. Even the best players in the world, Aaron Judge, Shohei Ohtani, they hit slumps. You could have a guy that somehow happens to hit his slump at the worst time of the year in October. I mean, you just simply don't know. So it's not, I don't want to sound like Michael K, but like a backup infielder on the Guardians or something. Like and that's my point. It's like you just don't know for certain um what a guy is going to do in October. That's why October's fun. Like anybody can kind of step up and be a hero essentially. So in that sense, fine. Run it back year two. Call me delusional, and I'll hope that this group figures it out in another playoff series and ALDS and ALCS and hopefully a World Series. Because realistically, that's all I got at this point. Now I can just hope for that they go out, they get some pitching that suffices until Cole and Rodon get back. Then they get stronger on top of the pitching additions. Then you go into the trade deadline, see what you need, and we're rolling from there. September into October. How'd that work out? It didn't work out good, but at this rate, I don't have anything else to really hope for. Like if they didn't bring back Cody Bellinger, can anybody tell me that okay, you're not running it back, but you're a worse team? Like how does that help them in the playoffs? It doesn't help them. So at this rate, that's all I can hope for. Okay, you re-signed Cody Bellinger. That was the best player available left on the market, and then now you have to go out and hopefully add pitching to make them a better squad instead of just the same squad as last year. So that's kind of where I'm at this point. But if you want to have a conversation saying, well, oh, they should have signed Tucker or Bo over Bellinger, I can have it. Well, that's a conversation I can have. That's actually that's a valid conversation. But like Cody Bellinger was the best player left on the market. And yes, year one, it didn't work out in terms of us winning a championship. I understand that. But again, if they let him walk, okay, they're not running back the same team, but they're a worse team for 2026 until proven otherwise. So unless Dominguez or Jones pop off. But again, that's not certain. So in the sense of, yeah, I'd rather do that than run out a worse team and then hopefully they can, I don't know, maybe pull off Freddie Peralta or get some other pitching additions that make them better. And then I don't know, win 90 plus games again, then go back in October and try and see if things are different this time. But I really have nothing else to root for. Like, I'm not going to root for the Yankees to lose Bellinger and be a worse team next year. I can't root for that. Now, again, if people are upset because they wanted to sign Tucker or Bo, I can understand that because, look, I wanted Bo Bichette over Cody Bellinger. And it's not because I don't hate Cody Bellinger, but like, give me Bo Bichette. Guy hits leadoff, can get on base, great bat to ball hitter, hits for some power, right-handed bat that the Yankees need. I thought it was a perfect fit, but the Yankees didn't want to do that. So they didn't want to pay the money. So nothing I can do about it. It annoyed me at the time. But look, they don't have Cody Bellinger. They're a worse team. They're not. So what's up, Ryan? Today is somewhat of a day to rejoice. I agree. Like I'm not jumping up and down, but I'm just kind of like happy that this got done, that both sides came to agreement. The more I look at the contract, I like it. I'm not absolutely in love with it, but I like it from the sense of like the opt outs. Okay, 5 years is the hard stop, 160-ish million. Okay, whatever. That's fine. Overpay, but you like the player. The inconsistent years scare me about Bellinger, but the first year of him having a 5-WAR season, which is essentially the second best year of his career, when you look at his baseball reference, is encouraging. The guy can play in New York. He's proven that. So let's see what happens. And I posted this earlier. I said, you hope with this Bellinger contract you can get 3 good years. 3 good years out of 5. If you get 3 good years, you'll win this contract. Say years 4 and 5 are shit. Okay, that's fine. I mean, again, Aaron Judge is in his mid-30s, and you're trying to win now. So you shouldn't care about years 4 and 5 at all. And it was kind of the same in retrospect with DJ LeMahieu when they gave him the 6 years and $90 million, but that was horrible off the bat. And I understand the comparison. The only issue is DJ LeMahieu, like his only tool was hitting. So once his knees went and he couldn't stay healthy, he was totally useless. Bellinger provides the value defensively, offensively, and obviously that's going to regress as he gets older. But you hope you can get a couple of good years out of him, and then the back end of the years obviously won't be good, and you'll live with that because you're in win now mode. So, hey, Matt, just tuning in. I want to be happy, but I feel we have done basically nothing but sign minor league players and get Belly back. Thoughts on how they will do offensively? Good question, man. Look, I'm there with you. Like I know running it back, it's not anybody's number one choice, but the way I'm trying to rationalize it, um, I would be more ticked off if Bellinger left and then they say, okay, we're not spending that money. We're gonna roll Dominguez and Jones out there, which okay, cool. Like you guys are gonna give these young kids a chance, fine. But then they're not spend the money elsewhere, and then you essentially have a worse team at the moment than if you kept Bellinger. Um, that would really tick me off even more. I think in the sense of where I'm at is the Yankees waited so long, they had to get Bellinger back. And then now that opens up the opportunity they can go and get pitching. So I think if they go out there and say they got it, Freddie Peralta, man, I'm like, all right, let's go get Freddie Peralta, maybe get a couple more bullpen arms. We're good to go. Uh, will that happen? I don't know. So I think of where I'm at the point is just like acceptance, like, okay, we're going to run it back until further notice, which the Evils essentially, because without Cody Bellinger, they are a worse team at the moment. So I can root for them to go get Freddie Peralta and go get Mackenzie Gore. It doesn't mean it's going to happen, but I hope that it does happen. So essentially, where I'm at, I like Cody Bellinger. I think it's a fine deal. It shouldn't stop them from making other deals. And you got it done. Thank you. Finally, welcome back, Belly, but go make more moves. Essentially, where I'm at. The Tucker contract is ridiculous, and I heard he doesn't like baseball. I heard from foul territory. I don't know if that's accurate. Yeah, look, I don't know if that report's accurate at all. I mean, I saw like some Instagram posts, but it looked kind of sketchy, saying anonymous Cubs staffer saw him reports. That sounds like a bunch of made up BS. I'm sorry. I don't know if any of those reports have substance. Uh, I know some of you guys follow John Boy Media or Yankee people talk about, oh yeah, there's rumors about that. Yankees don't like him because he's not super into baseball. They think of it like Anthony Rendon. I don't know if any of that's true. I honestly I can't tell you. Look, so many as rumors surface from just like random Twitter accounts that want to be the source, and I try super hard to not be that person. If I ever got a source, I would be upfront and tell you guys I have a source. But there are literally Twitter accounts, random fans like me, who go on Twitter and just spew out BS, random fake sources. So I don't know if that's true. I'm gonna probably say no because the Blue Jays were literally willing to offer him 10 years over $300 million. The Blue Jays were heavily committed to Kyle Tucker, but they didn't land him. He wanted, shorter term, higher AAV because he can hit the market again and get more money altogether. So that's like the new play nowadays. But I don't think it stopped him. I think Kyle Tucker, looking at like his personality, his back of his baseball card, who he is, he does seem like more of like a laid back guy. That doesn't mean he doesn't care as much about baseball. But his personality seems more laid back, like a chill dude. And from everything I've like read, is like he liked the Dodgers, obviously coming off back-to-back World Series, wanted to go there. And also a big thing too is like he's going to the Dodgers. He doesn't have to be the guy. If he went to the Mets, he's essentially the guy along with Soto. If he went to the Blue Jays, he's essentially the guy along with Vlad. And some players, truthfully, don't want that kind of pressure. Like they want to be on a stacked team that'll win and this and that, but not have to necessarily have all the pressure if I have to be that guy in this moment, because maybe he does have some struggles and this and that. He doesn't want to hear it as much. The Dodgers have a freaking all-star lineup: Mookie Betts, Shohei Ohtani, Freddie Freeman, Will Smith. So like he doesn't have to be the guy all the time, and he's getting paid a crazy amount of money. It's like, and has a chance to do it, be with the Dodgers for a three-peat. It's like then it starts to make sense when you put the pieces of the puzzle together. But no, I don't believe that report. I think that's a bunch of made up stuff. And nobody as far as I know, nobody like super credible like Jeff Passan has said that. As far as I know, from what I've read, so in that sense, I don't buy it. Then the cap needs to be raised. Well, there is no cap. If you mean luxury tax, that's different. But Grisham was a mistake. Look, Grisham, I kind of go back and forth on because I look at it in the sense if the Grisham contract, if they let that prohibit what other moves they make, then I don't like it. I don't like it because it is a hefty price tag. What is it, like $22 million or something like that? And you don't know if Grisham is going to duplicate what he did this past year. You don't even know. I mean, you have no idea, right? So from that standpoint, I understand it. But I do understand it from the standpoint of like, if the Yankees thought they were going to get screwed and potentially lose Grisham and Bellinger, then it's like you have a serious problem in your outfield. Then your only starting outfielder is Aaron Judge, and then you got to rely on Dominguez and Jones. Like that's kind of scary. So I understand from the insurance, like protection cost, but I would agree with you in the sense like I don't love it. I don't love paying Grisham all that money. I don't know how the hell he's going to do this year. And if it prohibits the Yankees from making other moves of significance, then I really don't like it. But again, like in due time, I guess we'll see. It's weird. It's weird in the sense of like I go back and forth on that myself. Some days I'm like I really freaking hate it. So other days I'm like, all right, I guess I'll live with it. It's fine. Christian was a good player for us this year. Hopefully he can, maybe he found something and this and that. And it's not even so much me. Like I don't hate Trent Grisham. I'm fine having him back on a 1-year deal. Like if the qualifying offer was like $12 million, I'm like, all right, cool. Like it's the price of it that sort of like I don't love because the Yankees do work on a budget and this and that. But I don't know. I go back and forth on it to be honest with you. Grisham was highly at him for half the price. Yes and no. Like I suppose so. I suppose we could have maybe. I don't know. This market is just I don't know. What would there be a team out there? I mean, I suppose not if you took the offer, but again, I don't know. I miscalculated this market myself, honestly. Watching Christian ball out this year, I thought, yeah, this guy's gonna get a 3-year, 4-year deal from a team like Pittsburgh or Philly or whatever. And I guess I was wrong. I mean, Christian jumped at that qualifying offer. You also have to factor into baseball is going to be locked out after 2026 for how long, who knows. So Christian was probably thinking of this, $22 million for 1 year. If I sign a 3 or 4-year deal for however much, even if it's a little bit more than that, like there's no guarantee baseball is going to happen in 2027. Like I don't know what the future looks like. So like I understand Grisham jumping at it, and I want to say I understand why the Yankees offered it, but like if it limits what else they do, I don't like it. That's just my opinion, though. I know people are going to have a difference on that, but 5 years was the right call. I agree. Hard stop on 5. I did not want to go to 6 or 7 years. If they gave Bellinger 7 years, I would have been ticked off. But, and again, please don't misinterpret what I say here. I'm not the biggest fan of Brian Cashman. I'm not the biggest fan of Hal Steinbrenner. I'm very critical of them. But I do think Brian Cashman played this the right way. Not giving in, not budging in, not giving Bellinger 6, 7 years. Boris is notorious for trying to get teams to panic, hit the panic button, and up their offers, even if that team is bidding against themselves. So, in that sense, good job. But yeah. Oh, he's back. Yes, let's go. I think he's put those injury years behind him. With Bellinger, that's a fair argument. That's fair. The only issue is it's like now you get into your 30s, like you're more injury prone. So I would say that's the sense. I know 2020, the World Series, he had a big home run, and then he did like the elbow bump, and I think he popped his shoulder out or something. I don't know, but that was another thing that was bad because then you look at his 2021. After 2022, he was a negative 1.6 WAR in 95 games. 2020 he was a 1.5 WAR. 2019, he was a beast, 8.7 WAR. So just a lot of up and down. But like even if you look at his first Dodger years, 17, 18, he was around a 4 WAR. Had that monster year in 2019. He jumped to 8.7, then slid down. Cubs around like a 4 WAR. Got hurt. I think he had like a hand injury, and then 5 WAR with the Yankees. So he had the second best year of his career with the Yankees at 29. So Yankees wouldn't be a postseason team without Bellinger, given the lack of other moves. I agree. I agree. Austin Hayes is a fourth outfielder at best, and Bader's too injury prone. 100%, dude. I agree. And I also agree with you saying guards trade Quan. I'd are holding out at a high asking price for Quan. They haven't gotten it. We know they've had conversations with the Dodgers and probably a couple other teams. That's the thing with Austin Hayes. Like Austin Hayes isn't a bad baseball player, but he really is like a fourth outfielder. I mean, he's like a platoon guy, can hit left-handed pitching. And I'm not saying it's horrible if you did end up having Dominguez and Hayes as a platoon, but like if you're gonna ask me if you want a Dominguez or Hayes platoon or Cody Bellinger in your outfield next year, I'm gonna say Cody Bellinger. Like I'm sorry, like I'm not gonna frown upon Bellinger's season just because he kind of ticked me off in these negotiations. Um, so is Bellinger actually coming back? Yeah, he's back. Signed 5 years, 162.5 million. The Mets pivot to Robert hurt Boris and ruined his leverage. I agree because clearly when the Mets pivoted to Robert, they were out on Bellinger. And I sort of made a post about that. Like, hold up, I don't know if that means they're out on Bellinger because the Mets could still use a left fielder like Carson Bench, great prospect for them. I don't know if he's going to pan out for them. Maybe he needs more time in AAA. Who knows? But and then you have Brett Beatty, who they've rumored to put out in left field, but another guy that would have to learn a position essentially since he's third baseman. But yeah, like I don't know. I didn't know at the time whether it took him out of it, but clearly looking back, it obviously did. Yeah, 100% it did hurt Boris there in terms of using the Mets as leverage. Mets getting Robert sealed Belly's contract. Those two mystery teams were as real as the Tooth Fairy and World Peace. I agree with you, Chris. Honestly, I think look, Boris has done that before. Like he's trying to get the Yankees to panic. Oh, two other teams. Funny enough, John Heyman tweets out. John Heyman's notorious for talking about Boris. He's got a good connection with Scott Boris. So Boris obviously told him that. He didn't tell him who the teams were. So then you kind of get a little skeptical in the sense of like, okay, who are those teams? Is that legit, or is Boris just trying to use this as leverage to get the Yankees to panic? And then you had people saying, "Oh, that could be the Phillies, the Giants." I always thought there was a chance, and I said this publicly on stories. I always thought there was a decent chance that I predicted the Phillies to swoop in and sign Bellinger. I did not feel confident about the Bellinger negotiations, especially when the Yankees were leaking all these things in terms of the contract offer and this and that. I thought there was a chance the Phillies could swoop in and sign him because they missed out on Bo. And they signed Real Muto back, but like again, 3 years, however much that was, it wasn't a crazy amount in terms of a contract obligation. So, and they traded for Adolis Garcia, or no, not traded for, signed him, but that wasn't a super huge commitment. 1 year, what was it like? I don't know, 15 million, or I don't even remember the terms, but it was like a 1 year contract. And then, but you could have him in right field. Nick Castellanos is probably going to get cut, and then you Bellinger could play left field for them. You have Marsh in center, and or they could bring back Harrison Bader, But Bellinger made sense for the Phillies. He really did. So I always thought they could have been one of those two teams that were players for him. But again, Boris just could have been using that as leverage. Maybe there weren't any. The two mystery teams were bluff. Yeah, the more I look at it, I agree. I think they probably were. I have a question. Yeah, what's up? Hey, Mark, what's up? I'm doing good, man. How about you? You think Peralta to the Yankees? I Peralta to the Yanks, I feel like a 40% chance. I'm feeling like 40%. I feel like there's been some good discussions there, but you got a lot of teams involved. You got the Mets involved. You got the Dodgers obviously involved, Giants, a lot of other teams. And the Yankees don't have the best farm system, but the Yankees do have what a lot of other teams maybe don't have in terms of the pitching capital, young starting pitching. So I'm feeling like 40% chance Yankees get Peralta. So not great, but not like hopeless either. I have a question. Yeah, man, what's your question? Well, it's the same lineup as last year, but at least it isn't a subtraction of things. Exactly, man. That is where I am at right now. And again, I don't want to misspeak. I don't want people to think I'm like super excited, like, oh yeah, we're running it back. I like Cody Bellinger. I like the player. I'm happy he's back. Um, and running it back is not the most ideal scenario in the world, but presented with the idea, like you just said, okay, running it back or having a worse team, I'd rather run it back and see what happens at this rate. Not that I'm expecting anything to be different, but I mean, I would ask any of you, would you rather run it back or have a worse team? You'd probably say run it back. Yeah, what's your question, man? What's up, Sam? What's your take on the future with Jazz? That's interesting. I like Jazz. I just don't know if the Yankees like him enough to sign him long term. He's in his walk year, essentially. We know the Yankees have had trade discussions, and I'm certainly open to the Yankees signing Jazz long term. I'm a little bit concerned about his injury history. Um, that's the one thing I'm concerned about. But in terms of the back of his baseball card, the player he is, the energy he brings, I love it. Um, and I've heard people say like they'd like to see Jazz hit for more contact. And if it's a little less power, that's fine. Like I'm kind of on that train too, because I see the value Jazz brings in terms of like stolen bases, speed, athleticism, all that stuff. I think he's a good fit at second base for them. So I like the player. I am totally open to the Yankees extending him long term. Um, he's at that age. I don't know if they've had discussions. I don't know if they want to extend him long term. So in that sense, the Yankees maybe could trade him for pitching or somebody. I don't know, but the odds are he will be the second baseman. But it's just weird. It feels like they're sort of treating this like Gleyber Torres. Like, all right, good player, but I'm not sure if they want to commit long term to him just yet. So yeah, but I don't I love Jazz. I think Jazz is good. He's a good player, good second baseman. He's right there in terms of the top second baseman in baseball behind Ketel Marte. I think that was a great trade by Brian Cashman from getting him from the Marlins in terms of what we gave up. We didn't give up anything that really hurt us. Augustin Ramirez, catcher, nice player, but I'm not losing sleep over that. So, yeah, good deal. Hey, Vaders, what's up, man? How you doing? What's up, Vince? With Belly back, would Jones or Dominguez be dealt for pitching? That's a very real possibility. I think that's like over 50% chance one of them does get dealt. So yeah. Who that is, I don't know. Again, it's like which one do they like more? Like I've already told you guys who I like more, Spencer Jones. But I don't hate Dominguez. I think highly of both of them, but who would I rather have? Spencer Jones. Who would the Yankees rather have? I don't know. That's a question they'd have to ask themselves. But I do think it is likely now that one of them does get moved um, for, I would say, a starting pitcher, but maybe it could be a deal. I've heard people rumor like a Freddie Peralta McGill package, Trevor McGill package. So that would be something that would be smart. You put Dominguez in a deal like that. And I don't know if the Brewers need like a corner outfielder. I don't know. It's just it's a little tricky, but again, if it were up to me, I would keep Jones, but I definitely do think that there is a good chance one of them gets dealt. But theoretically, I made a post about this. There is a chance neither of them gets dealt. if that makes sense. And I could explain more about that if anybody cares to hear my rationale on that. I'm kind of a little scared to move on from Jason. I can see him being an all-star on another team that gives him a chance to start every day. Um, yeah, man. I mean, look, you could say the same thing too for Spencer Jones, Gio. I totally agree with you. But look, that's the price of doing business. Like you have to, you want to get a player that'll help you win now, and sometimes that means sacrificing, and giving up a player that can't necessarily help you win right now, but could help you win, in a couple years. And unfortunately, that's just the price of doing business in Major League Baseball. And you got to give up to get. And, you know, the Yankees are in this win now mode. They would like to win a World Series next year or within a couple years while they still have Aaron Judge in the prime of his career. And in order to do that, sometimes you have to give up players that could help you win in 2028, 2029, etc. So, I just see it as, yeah, it stings if you have to give up Dominguez or Jones. I know why people think highly of them and who they could be, but at the end of the day, you want to win a ring. You want to put the best team on the field now with Aaron Judge, who's already a proven superstar, and you want to win with him. You don't want him to end up like Don Mattingly. So you got to look at what they cost in terms of prospects, and sometimes you just got to bite it and say, all right, let's do it. I mean, 5, 6 years down the line, if Jason Dominguez is a superstar and the Yankees have a World Series out of it, then it's worth it. But yeah. Hold on one second. Hello? That was weird. Nobody answered. But because he becomes a superstar and the Yankees win a World Series. What's up? What's up, everybody? What's up? I think Bellinger is more. I'm happy they got Billy at the end of the day. I totally agree with you. Bo Bichette is not a good defender. I was really high on Bo because just with the bat, who he is, proven consistency too. But yeah, you're 100%. You're right. Bellinger does that versatility of upgrade, so you're not wrong on that. 100%. And again, everybody sees it differently. Not everybody's going to agree with me. People see different angles on sides thing. That's why I like doing these lives because someone will say something that I didn't even remotely think about, and I think it's cool. I think it's cool to have those discussions. So, but yeah. So let me see if there's any other comments in here, and then I'm gonna hop out. What's the next move? What's up, Nick? Good question. So Nick asked, "What's the next move outside of Peralta? Righty catcher would be a smart move." You are correct, my friend. I actually talked about that just a few minutes ago, but I don't know if you were in the live, so I'll mention it. I think the move is a backup right-handed catcher. Who that is, I don't know. I mean, I was looking at Fangraphs earlier, right before I came on this live, and I'm not really seeing any names. Like theoretically, like Jose Trevino could be that guy. Like maybe the Yankees trade for Jose Trevino again. And I'm just talking strictly like backup catchers, right-handed backup catcher, because it doesn't make sense to have 3 left-handed catchers on your roster. So Danny Jansen would have been a good get for the Yankees, which sucks. I had one guy mention that to me. NYY Yankees dad, good guy. His name's Russ. He really wanted Danny Jansen. The more I looked at him, would have been perfect for a backup catcher. Although he did get paid kind of a good salary for a backup. But I'm looking at, Connor Wong and the Red Sox, Braxton Fulvord, Hickey's on the Rangers, Kyle Higashioka. So it's a good question. I honestly have no idea. I mean, maybe there's a free agent out there. I know Jonah Heim got non-tendered, so he's a free agent. That could be a good get for them. He's a switch hitter. Trying to go on Spot Track right now, see who is out there. I thought I had it up. 2026 catchers free agents. Christian Vasquez Mitch Garver. So I like that. Mitch Garver, Vasquez, Jonah, top three. Gary Sanchez, funny enough, is a free agent. Gary Sanchez. Could you imagine if they brought like I don't it would be fun if they brought back Gary Sanchez as a backup, but I wouldn't necessarily call it the smartest baseball move because he's a horrible defender. I mean, Gary has a great arm, can't block, can pitch frame, but he cannot. He's just not a good defensive catcher. But there's some power in his bat, so who knows? He's 33. Garver's 35. Vasquez 35. Jonah Heim's 30 years old. I think Jonah Heim would be a good pickup. He was non-tendered. Market value $6 million. I'd say Jonah Heim, man. Do you think we will make more moves? What's up, Dave? Yeah, I do think the Yankees will make more moves. I do not think it's just gonna be okay. We resign Bellinger, going to spring training. I'm very confident in the fact that I think there will be pitching additions. I don't know to what significance, whether that's just a starting pitcher or starting pitching and bullpen. But I think another bullpen arm is coming via trade, and maybe a starting pitcher being traded, if not both, in one trade. So yeah, we'll see. Thank you for joining. Yeah, I hope we'll be healthy too. Go Yanks. Um, no game on 420 this year. Why is that? Are they just off? Are they off that day? If you told me this contract at the beginning of the year, I'd say it sucked. But because of Bo and Tuck, it's great value. Yeah, Cannon. I see what you're saying there, and I agree. I think you look at what some of these other guys got, and I'm not saying Bellinger is on the level of a Tucker or Bo because he's not. In terms of what these other guys are getting paid, it's not bad. It's not bad. Is it an overpay? Yes. But every single contract in baseball nowadays is an overpay. The last Yankee contract I can go to that was not an overpay was the 2-year, $24 million that the Yankees gave DJ LeMahieu when he was still a really good player. So you have no choice other than run. You have no choice not. You have no choice other to run it back. Yeah, I know you meant to say you have no choice other than to run it back. 100%, dude. Yeah, you have no choice but to run it back. That's the predicament the Yankees are in. Tucker is off the board. Bo is off the board. I mean, nobody can sit here and say I wanted the Yankees to sign Austin Hayes over Cody Bellinger, or I wanted the Yankees to sign Harrison Bader over Cody Bellinger. Like, no, everybody would obviously take Cody Bellinger over Austin Hayes and Harrison Bader. I mean, that's just the market. They're hoping the difference is Cole. He's the addition of 25. Yes, I agree, 100%. And the development of the three young pitchers. Yep, Warren, Schlittler, and Giel. And then you have like other young pitchers up and coming too. So see what happens. What's up, Rowan? What about Brandon Donovan? I like Brandon Donovan. Has been very hot this year. Yeah, the Giants in on him. I believe the Royals and a couple other teams I forget. But the thing about Donovan is like if you bring Donovan in, then like what are you doing with Jazz? Are you moving Jazz for like a substantial starter? I don't really know how Donovan fits now that you re-signed Bellinger and you have Jazz at second, so it's a little bit of a conundrum, but I like the player. James McCann, that's a good mention, but Jen did sign already. I think he signed back with Arizona. Let me check real quick. That's a good mention. I think he yeah, man, he signed 1 year, $2.75 million with the D-backs. So good mention. I that would be a good Yankees pickup for a backup if he was still out there. So shout out to you for mentioning that name. It's I think he signed with Arizona like a little over a month ago, I believe. Or no, it was a little while before that. Late November. Wow, it's a while ago. J-Dom gone or what? I don't know, man. I think there's like a 50% chance Jason Dominguez gets traded. So that's kind of where I'm at right now. Um, and if I'm just guessing, I think they keep Spencer Jones because I think they could see him in their future outfield fold, whereas Dominguez, it's a bit unclear because of the defense. I know Dominguez went to winter ball and working on his defense and all that. Whether he's made enough strides to be an everyday outfielder in this league one day, whether it's for us or somebody else, remains to be seen. But yeah, like now that you brought back Bellinger, like your outfield is set. Your outfield is Judge, Bellinger, Grisham. Bearing a significant injury, Dominguez is essentially your fourth outfielder. And Spencer Jones is starting the year in AAA. So package him and Volpe for a starter. Volpe has no trade worth whatsoever. You know what's funny? The Braves need a shortstop, and they signed Jorge Mateo from the Orioles, who's awful. He's worse than Volpe. The only thing he has against Volpe is dude can run. But could you imagine if the Yankees traded Anthony Volpe to the Braves? The Braves would actually probably consider doing that. I'm not even kidding. Like Anthony Volpe over Jorge Mateo. That's what the Braves are. Him for several months. He slipped on ice and hurt himself. So could you imagine? I once jersey swapped. I used like AI to do it, but I put Volpe in a Braves jersey and I made like a post about it. I was like, trade Volpe to the Braves. But the Braves would actually do that, I think. Anthony Volpe is a significant upgrade over Jorge Mateo. And neither player is good, but Jorge Mateo is bad. Very, very bad. I take Schwellenbach. No way they're going to do that deal for Volpe. Corey Seager would really be a dream come true. He would. Problem is, Corey Seager cannot stay healthy. He's sort of like a Giancarlo Stanton. He gets hurt every single year. So, and then in terms of like the contract, I don't think the Yankees would love that. That would take a while to work out. So yeah, it would be a nice dream. I like Corey Seager, but the contract and he can't stay healthy. So I gotta hop out and then hop off in a few minutes. Getting ready to go to dinner. So a couple more questions and then I'm gonna call it a night. But yeah, I'm happy Bellinger's back. Obviously, the Yankees have to do more. I'm not gonna sit here and tell you like I'm super thrilled that we're running it back, but I am happy, but not content. Like obviously, the Yankees have to go out. They have to get pitching, right-handed backup catcher. I don't know. Maybe they go after a right-handed bat in some capacity, like fourth outfielder type thing. I don't know, but the lineup is very left-handed, which isn't great. I know Brian Cashman, like Jack Curry's talked about how he wants to add a right-handed bat, and I know that if Bellinger didn't come back, they probably would have been all over either Austin Hayes or Harrison Bader. So, yeah. Need a real closer? That's David Bednar, man. David Bednar came in here, did his job. He's the Yankees closer. Until proven otherwise. Yankees got him for next year. Then I believe he's a free agent after this year, though. So Bednar's awesome. I love Bednar. I feel like you stick Ryan Weathers in the bullpen. I think Duvall is going to have a better year. Hopefully, with this command and Matt Blake works with him more. And I think the bullpen starts to take shape, but they definitely do need to add to it. They lost a lot of dudes from last year's bullpen. So, but all right, everybody, I am going to head out. But have a great night and let's go Yanks. One second.